bet we all heard this song making the rounds on social media at the beginning of summer, right? But did you ever stop to think who the singer was talking about? Listen closely. Who was Makeba, and why is there a whole song dedicated to her? Let's talk about it. So Marriam Makeba, aka Mama Africa, aka the Empress of African Song, was a singer, songwriter, actress, and civil rights activist that fought against South Africa's apartheid regime until it was dismantled in the early 1990s. On top of her song Pata Pata being one of the first African hits to gain international stardom, her outspokenness and resistance to colonial oppression also made her a key figure in the Black struggle for liberation. But that's not to say that it was easy. While her professional life propelled her to global heights, her personal life was filled with torment, injustice, and exile. You see, Zenzile Marriam Makeba was born on March 4th, 1932 in a segregated neighborhood in Johannesburg during a time of economic depression. Her father died while she was still a child, forcing her to work at an early age, and she grew up witnessing the horrors and injustices of the apartheid system. In short, apartheid was an advanced and institutionalized system of racial segregation that was imposed in 1948 by South Africa's white minority government. Essentially, white Europeans who had settled in South Africa created a system that not only divided people on the basis of their skin color, but also sanctioned social, political, and economic discrimination against non-whites. And as a Black woman touring around the country with her band at the time, Marriam Makeba experienced firsthand the most heartless aspects of that system. So when she was approached to feature in a movie that depicted the harsh conditions under which Black South Africans were forced to live in, she agreed. While the movie was a success and made her an instant celebrity abroad, it also got her negative attention from the apartheid government and marked the beginning of her exile. South Africa revoked her passport in 1960, and she only found out about it when she tried returning home for her mother's funeral. In fact, 3 years later, when she addressed the United Nations General Assembly about the horrors of apartheid, the South African government straight up took her citizenship away and forced her to live in exile for 30 years. Her very existence was a threat to the apartheid state because as an African celebrity in the West, she used her stardom to educate the world and raise awareness about what was happening in her country. So while the apartheid government was doing everything in its power to erase her from the consciousness of her people, Marriam Makeba wove her activism in her music and used every opportunity to address the suffering of her people.
Je me fâche parce que vraiment c'est pas un bruit, ça c'est ma langue. Les colonisateurs de chez nous en Afrique du Sud appellent cette chanson click song parce que eux ils ne savent pas dire où on retourne.
And where the apartheid state sought to dismantle any semblance of African art or culture, Marriam Makeba put out songs in her mother tongue as a defiant act of decolonization and as a marker of her African identity. In fact, because she was one of the most visible and outspoken opponents of South Africa's apartheid regime, she became an icon of the anti-apartheid struggle and would be so until it was dismantled in the early 1990s. Sadly, she passed away in 2008 at the age of 76, but her resilience and artistry have lived on. There's so much more to be said about Mama Africa's life, but I'll end with her own words. Quote, "I kept my culture. I kept the music of my roots. Through my music, I became this voice and image of Africa and the people without even realizing it."